Good afternoon. Welcome to Chess Comedy Books 21, in which we take a light-hearted look at chess books and literature in general, chess literature in general. Today I'm going to look at books by, not exclusively by in every case, Tim Harding from Ireland. Lives in Dublin. Tim, he has a doctorate. He's been over for many years. He marries an Irish lady, and he has a couple of grown-up daughters of whom he's very proud, and that's very nice. So I'm going to, there's quite a couple of piles here, so I'm going to have to go through them in a fairly lickety-split speed, and he won't mind that, and I hope neither will you. Now this is a move, one knight c6, which has been quite close to my heart for many years, and the reason for that is that I was friends with Hugh Myers, that wrote the first book on one knight c6 as a response, you understand, to 1e4, and Hugh and I corresponded, and also I took a keen interest in his magazine, which Tim would know of, and this book is Tim's reaction, knowing that for the first time the world needs to take an interest in it, not just Hugh Myers. It's in slightly old-fashioned format now, but I rather like it. There we are. You have to fight for your life with one knight c6. Sometimes white gets more space in the center and can build up quite an initiative. But for all of that, in the hands of a specialist like, say, Ian Watson, since Hugh's passing, the opening has gained in popularity, not as a direct result, but it was Tim's book which, as much as anything, as well as Hugh's, that brought popularity to an unusual sphere of interest in the chess world. There we are. Put that on the floor. Here's a book, and he collaborated with the British master, or perhaps it was the British candidate master, Bernard Cafferty. Bernard, whom I worked with for a short while at BCM. This is a gambit very well known to many people, involving the flank b4 in that position. There we are. Rather an odd mixture of flat pieces and also black pieces having some dimension. This is published by A&C Black, I think, but I think subsequently there was a Cadogan edition of it, which I don't have. This is by Robert Hale. Take that back. This is my Robert Hale. This is the one from 1976. But it was from 1976. A lot of love and chapter and verse has gone into this. Both of them have played it personally, and that is of itself an endorsement. There we are. We shall not linger long. Now, here's something I used to love as a kid. No disrespect to Tim. Irregular Openings by Tim Harding. This was published in America. Now, dare I say it, they're probably a bit more liberal-minded. You see the little chess Sutton Coldfield sticker, which BH Wood used to put on all his books. One time, probably these days, people would probably be interested to buy them individually. He thanks various people. This was written in 1974. It's almost an antique. Tim, you must write. There were updates of this, of course there were. I don't think I've got any of them. I have seen them. He deals with things like one knight to Queen Bishop 3. In other words, some descriptive notation. There we are. And he gives a bit of background as we go through. There, the Saragossa, C3. Some bloke wrote to me from Canada with a book of games which he played c3 and queen c2 against any response against his computer. He great expense, had the book printed and had them sent out. It was very, very hard to know what to say, apart from thank you, I suppose. 1d3, I think they call that the Mises. They have lovely discussions. The Durkin-Goldschmidt attack. Martin Goldschmidt. I remember his name. Not sure if I actually saw him. Myanmar, beloved of Tartakova. There you are. One knight, King's Rook 3. The classical Rand Springer. I remember I explained to Eric Schiller what a drunken knight was, so I'll say it all again. A drunken knight is a knight that's on its original square, B1 or G1 or whatever, and as it takes off, it tries to get into the center, to go to C3 or F3, but because it's had too much to drink, it shoots off, pissed, to H3 or A3, unwillingly, or perhaps I should say unwittingly. There it is, published by Chess Digest. If you see it around, and it's a few quid, get it. You might think, well, it's typed and has got too few diagrams. Well, it is typed and it has got too few diagrams, but I still like it very much. And I hope you get some fun out of it. You might get the odd win. Here's something a lot more conventional. The Queen's Gambit, declined, the Semi-Slav, and it's by Tim, and it's been edited by Andrew Whiteley. Being Andrew, everybody in a way, he's dead now, Andrew Whiteley, seems to feel sorry for Andrew. He was a solicitor in his time, and an Oxbridge graduate, and after all, he was in the England team on board 4. So he came late to the IM title, the same as Basman did, but quite frankly, I think he really knew what he was talking about. Anyway, I think it likely that Tim's manuscript was given to Batsford's, and Wade, in his time, handed it to Andrew Whiteley to go through. I'm sure Tim will be on the phone to tell me I'm completely wrong, and that isn't what happened, but it must be something like that. There we are. As you can see, the figurines, as I will show you, and the double columns. I don't propose to launch into a detailed discussion because I'm a bit out of my depth. The Queen's Gambit is one of the oldest openings and a regular feature of all World Championship matches. I don't know if there was one in Fischer's Basket, but anyway, this commentary volume, he mentions teaming it with the book by Sumerian. I would have thought this was a lot better than the book by Sumerian. Anyway, there you are. We're going to Spain. We're off to sunny Spain, Viva Espana. Here we are, a book on the Spanish Ruy Lopez Marshall. If you don't know what this is, it is a gambit which was discovered, not invented, because all gambits are there anyway, but which was discovered by Frank Marshall, who waited 50 years for Tim Harding to write a book about it. No, I'm just joking. There were scant records of the early years of experimentation with the Marshall counterattack, which was doubtless mostly in the United States. At the Buenos Aires Olympiad of 1939, the game Delanto Alexander went as in Marshall's new analysis. So by that time, just about the Second World War was breaking out in Europe, and the English team were over in South America. That's a story in itself, and I've told it before anyway, but nevertheless, it's nice to see it mentioned. Here's a position you can see that black has got quite a grip on the position, and this is early on, and that rook is lumbering into, what is it, E6? E6? I think so. So there you are. Heavy stuff. Theoretical country. Nice to see a book in hardcovers, isn't it? This is an even earlier version. This is the first time that this merits its own book. There we are. Written in conjunction with Bob Wade, who was the series editor. There's all the other books that were in that series. I've got most of those, I think. Certainly all of those I need or wanted at the time. Says the major part of this book was prepared by Tim Harding. I think that's the most important thing to say, really. As a young master, probably Wade stuck his name on it. In fact, I know he did, to just give it a little credence, gravitas to the proceedings. There you are. There's exactly the same position as was in the other book, but it's not a repeat. I mean, it's just that they're just neatening things up and updating them, of course. I mean, that's the point, isn't it? Really. I mean, there's absolutely pages and pages of stuff here, nearly 250 pages. And I can assure you, many English players have trodden this path, from Mark Hebden to Harding himself. You wouldn't have to look far in this book. Hubner, Geller, Unziker, Alekhine, for goodness sake, Robach, Ribley, Janowski, Lasker, for goodness sake, Lasker. That's the old one. The daddy of them all. Here's another collaborative effort. 3 guys, Tim, George Botterill, and Chenek Kopner, recently profiled on British Chess News. Well, George Botterill won the British Championships twice in the 1970s. Chenek Kopner was an established international master from Eastern Europe. Look into British Chess News. And Tim, as we've been telling you, does lots and lots for chess. This deals with Bishop c4 in the open Sicilian. I'll just give you a quick flash. There. See the bishop on c4? There. And you've put a little centre and a Najdorf move order. In other words, black is keeping it tight. But yeah, things are boiling below the surface. This is a descriptive notation. Contains a bit of historical background and a discussion. I really approve of this, of the pawn structures and ideas. And this is what modern books should have more of, but they don't. This shows you where it came from, what's happening below the just bubbling beneath the surface. Good for them. Good for them. Right. Those are older books by Tim. Now we come a little bit more up to date. This became his passion, really. Correspondence chess, what you might call postal chess. And Chess Mail was his own publication. He became his own publisher. Series of chapters. The early career of Paul Keres, for example. Inner Chess. I mentioned this bloke, whose name I can't easily pronounce. The Chess Original. Remember him? Well, here he is again. And he gives one of his games. He likes the Gurgenitzer. Well, I like the Gurgenitzer too. Dick van Giet. Probably I'm told to pronounce that. Certainly isn't Dick Van Dyke. You see that at the top? Chapter heading. This is about one knight c3, is it? Probably terribly wrong. Amongst other things. George Walker. Tim is terribly good on history, and as the years have gone by, gets better and better. Match between Westminster and Paris. And it's an exchange French. There's an article reaching out for a link between over-the-board play and correspondence by about Alekhine. Well, poor old Alekhine. He probably had to play correspondence to get any decent opponents. At the start, anyway, as a teenage master. There you go. This is 64 annotated games by Tim, all of them played by correspondence. It could be argued, I'm not about to argue it one way or the other, but it could be argued that correspondence chess has been ruined, if not ended, by computers, people cheating with computers. Not computers itself. Computers lovely. I mean, these books are written on computers, but the moral dimension of saying, well, yes, but you know, there's what your moves, they were fed to you. These games are from various eras. One from 1963, one from 1943, one from 1935. And again, I mentioned him just now. This is a book. This is a game by Keres, Paul Keres. Let me show you. There. So as you see, Tim gives a fair bit of intro, and then he launches into the game. My goodness, look at the detail. Enormous amount of love has gone into this. Tim produced it himself. If you see it, or if it's still available from him, which I very much doubt, but it might be, I don't know. He won't like it if I get it wrong. If I say, contact Tim, he'll say, oh, no, I can't help. Well, perhaps you can't, Tim, but, you know, people are going to want this. Here's something you definitely still can get. British Chess, Literature to 1914. He presents this as a handbook. I would have said it was a sort of companion, but handbook companion. Enormous amount of information about over the board and postal play, of course. Golden age of chess columns, talking about chess columnists, of which Tim obviously was one. He wrote for lots of people. Here's an interesting thing. I always like to show cartoons, don't I? Look at that. Looks like somebody is presiding, like some guy on the woolsack. They look all shocked and bewigged. Let's have a look. Detail from a cartoon engraving accompanying the 1820, I do apologise, 1820 political poem, The Queen and Her Pawns Against the King and His Pieces. In other words, some ferment in the Balkans, except not in the Balkans, but in the royal family. This is for, in a way, the expert that wishes to become more expert. It does contain some games, but it's not overburdened with them. Bits of biography. Somebody said to me, I think yesterday, had I ever heard of John Keble? Well, I had heard of John Keble, and there he is in old age, no doubt still enjoying posing for photographs and looking benign. This book won an award. Here we are again. Correspondence Chess in Britain and Ireland, 1824 to 1987. Well, it's over 400 pages. It lists champions, gives cross tables, games. Let me just choose something at random. There we are. Look at that. I wrote a book about Peter Clark, who was a correspondence grandmaster, but I didn't have this at the time. Wish I had have done. Annotated games, again, 19th century efforts between two clubs. Look at that for a gathering. Woohoo! Well, few cigars smoked there. Not one person smiling, possibly, I'm told, because it took so long for the photograph to be taken that in the end, you know, because everyone says smiles say chess. And they'll go fromage. By that time, quite frankly, they've all had enough. There's Mrs. Beachy. Yorkshire versus Ireland. Who do you think won? The answer is Yorkshire. Oh. Only by 2 points. They played over 14 boards and 2 games running simultaneously. Well, all the games were simultaneous. But what I mean is they played the one and then the second, but no. They 2 games were probably, the score sheets would have been put into envelopes and sent across the Irish Channel. St. George's Channel, maybe. This, as I've said before, and I should be probably saying it again, is one of my all-time favourite books. In fact, I think it is. Eminent Victorian Chess Players. It's a comparatively recent book by Tim. One moment, I'll tell you when it appeared. I'd like to have had it in hardcover, so I'm not sure if it is available as a hardback, but I can't even open it. It was written, good God, 9 years ago. Well, there it is. It's a beautiful book. A little bit of Morphy. Whose games contained a little bit of Morphy? Do you know? I'm not going to tell you. Buy the book. This book portrays British chess life in the 19th century through biographical studies of 10 players who shaped the modern game. And in an earlier Chinwag, I think I listed them. From Captain Evans, inventor of the famous Gambit, to Isidore Gunsberg, England's first challenger for the World Championship. Almost is their last as well. Thank you, Nigel. Personal narratives are blended with game annotations to reassess players' achievements and character. The author has combined deep reading in primary sources with genealogical research to reveal new facts and correct previous misunderstandings. Yes, Tim is very good at this. He's sort of like a new broom who isn't new, who sweeps clean. There. I could go on and on, but I won't. Lastly, a labour of love indeed. Look at this. Joseph Henry Blackburn, a chess biography by Tim Harding. This contains games played by the great Blackburn over a long and distinguished career. The amount of background information is awesome, and Tim is there every inch of the way. He does not stop moving the camera. He does not take his eye off the ball. There. I know that Nigel Short is very fond of Blackburn, and when this came out, Nigel did his level best to remain calm and said there's going to be a few evenings I'm going to be looking through that. And that's lovely. If you want to know about the Evans Gambit, I mentioned it earlier, if you want to know about 19th century Victorian chess, although Blackburn lived to 1924, and as late as 1914, I think was playing in the British Championships, you get this. The very Hercules of chess. The Hastings years, obviously Hastings 1895 started up then, and it was it was then that the world turned its attention to English chess. It already had, for in a way. I mean, Staunton was English. Steinitz lived here for several years. And Tim has written a book. I haven't got it. I haven't even seen it, actually. Steinitz in London. So, Richard James, if you're listening to this, that was a joke. The British Chess News copy went to Richard. Not so much goes to Richard. So, but there we are. Longer tournaments. The Grand Old Man of Chess. GOM of Chess. And here is the Grand Old Man of Chess. Actually, not looking that old. Not really. He's got a white beard, but I think he was going for a laugh, don't you? Right to the end. He played St. Petersburg 1914. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes a light-hearted look through Tim's books. I must explain that chess comedy books does not mean that they're funny in any way, although they may contain lighter points. It's simply the name of the generic name of the series that I run, and basically just to take a light-hearted look. I've been James Pratt, and you haven't.